Good evening to all of the members of the Art Nubian social community and all members of executive and staff. Today, I would like to say thank you to all of the applicants that signed up for the Task Force 1 training prep. I'm very excited about that because I think it's a first step in a good direction and the right direction that is needed, that we can come together and really make a difference, really try and aspire to do something that can see the birth of a change that is needed. The journey of the task force is one that is just unpredictable because we are dealing with people, we are dealing with traditions, we are dealing with culture, we are dealing with different environments, so totally at times different from our own. At times, some aspects may be similar. It means being able to acclimatize, tolerate, accept, and appreciate the different cultures where you will be placed on the missions of the humanitarian agenda. I've had quite a few inboxes, be it on my Facebook, I've had it on the ARC. I cannot reply to all, it's just too many, and there's just not that much time, and it's very stressful even trying to get the time to do this broadcast, but I think it's necessary and it's important. You're important, and what you have to do is important. And with this, I think I too must make the time to see that I can also be hands-on and help where I can, support where I can, tell my story in terms of experiences that you may at some point in time be faced with, and that all will feel very comfortable to come and speak to any of us within the executive teams, that you feel at home in the social community, which is a separate part of the headquarters itself, and that you always know that within our organization, we try to create an atmosphere of family, of unity, of balance, and of togetherness. I cannot survive in an environment that does not have all of those aspects. So I do like it in the work environment. I do like it in the presentation of the things that we do, how we do it as well, because it should be reflected in the greater agenda. It's very important as well that a lot of the protocols are understood, the protocols in the different countries, the protocols in some regions of the world that may look different to you, but to there, it's just their way of life, and equally should be appreciated and accepted. On this journey, I've had very many experiences. Some have been wonderful, some has been less, but I do appreciate all of them because it was necessary to go to step 2 and step 3 and step 4. There's some classrooms where you cannot skip. Life is one of them. To go to the other phase and the other phase and the other aspects of it, you must clear that first classroom and the second and the third. There's no skipping. And within each aspect of that, I think we gain a lot of experiences and some wisdom that help us further, much further at times on the path, and then we understand why. The African Kingdoms Federation has a purpose. It's not a young federation, just one that has had its name changed many times within its history and that of our ancestors. The African Kingdom Federation Operation Arm is our Imperial House Foundation NGO that represent the interests of the kingdoms and chiefdoms within the umbrella of the Federation regions. It's very important that regardless of changes in history, regardless of changes in geography, regardless of changes in national regions, territories, and otherwise, The people of Africa is still the people of Africa. The people of Asia and all the Middle East, all these different parts of the South and bordering South world, right down to the Caribbean, to the Native American that traveled up, are a culture and a people of history, of traditions, ways of life, ways they prefer to bring up their children. And equally as well, their social structure and infrastructure is of equal importance and should also reflect the will and desire of the people there. In addressing the agenda, one of the most important parts that I would like all to pay very critical attention to is the people at the start, the people at the middle, and the people at the end as the dot after the sentence. It's not about me, not at all. I am not that particularly interested in attention, no. It's not about the ones in the room here with me, including my dog Nala, that probably at some point in time will make her presence known, so I will already make an early apology for that. And it's not even the people around this beautiful neighborhood that I am in whilst on traveling on this agenda, so do excuse any distortions or interruptions. It's not as private as back home. It's not about all of that, yet it is, because it's about it's about the collective. The collective, each individual with respect to that individual as a collective unity, which makes up the nations of the Earth family. Task Force 1, 2, and 3, I find very necessary because it's a part of my nature. I prefer to have things done very organized, very well planned in every way because of the time. It's human to make error, but when there are people who are depending and there's a domino effect, if you have a delay here or you're too late here and all such, it makes it very uncomfortable for working. I think that may be a bit of my family here and there, a bit of military background. I do like that discipline and the discipline within the organization in order that we not only do a good job, but it is reflected. It's very important putting the structure and the infrastructure in for the Federation, within the Federation NGO. The NGO primary agenda, it's called Project 7 Phoenix. It covers all 55 African nation, rural, urban, central, the complete country, kingdom and chiefdom regions. We are not a political organization, but we do believe in supporting the national and the people within as best we can as one unity. The agenda is a bit different maybe from some agendas, maybe similar to others. And it is, I do not believe it is correct of us to look at the child in one region or one nation and say, we will have water for you, but in 20 years, because we have 50 more nations to take care of. Too many children, too many people, too many families have had to endure that and are enduring that. The world is not a bed of roses. It can be, but it will depend on us. The Task Force 1 is actually, I think, the most important of the 3 task force of the Imperial House Foundation NGO, whose responsibility it is for supporting Task Force 2 and Task Force 3 in all needed regions that will be given step by step specifically. That will be done after the training is done, that everyone has a general idea of Royal House protocols, the protocols in different regions, different kingdoms, and different tribes, that we go there prepared, that you can accept, understand, and reflect back the culture of the people with respect of the people. Much has changed, and the African kingdoms have lost their physical glory, but the within, the spirit of Africa, the soul of Africa, the soul and the nature of the people, nothing ever, ever will let it fall. Only we can. I am very adamant that the kingdoms of Africa be respected like any and all kingdoms of any nation, of any people, and that it should be done with respect to who they are and not by the appearances that was not caused or solely by the kingdoms of Africa. The kings and the queens of Africa still have their responsibilities to take care of. A massive amount of resources, but you can have all the oil in the world that you need in your backyard if you do not have the tools to access it and the financial bridge to cross that in order that you can then do something positive with it, you still have nothing. Africa is not poor. Therefore, I've heard a lot about my manner of leadership and choices. And a lot that I've heard in terms of the leadership of the NGO was my absolute refusal for massive campaigns for donations. Not that we don't need the funds, we do. But I think there are other ways to earn it. It may be a slower road, but it's a better road and a road of example. Africa is the richest region on the planet, and not based on the gold or silver or minerals, but based on who she is, Africa. Within my international teams and staff, because we've got the teams in Africa, which is all people from the houses, the kingdoms, the tribes, localized, and some international there, but the international is centrally at the central headquarters working hand in hand with the teams in Africa. They are of all different nationalities and all different races, all different religious orientation that there be. And I think that's about the nicest thing in the world. I like it and I feel very comfortable with it, but not all do. And the question is, why do I do that? No man is an island, including Africa. To say we want a world of peace and unity, brotherhood, removal of borders and understanding, and at the same time create a fence between the one and the other, who are at the root common shared as blood by one mother, sharing a common shared root history, ancestry, their bylines and their sidelines, because Earth history is very rich and very complicated. There's a lot still to be explored. But humanity is one. If I'm not feeling well, and I finally admit it to try and get some sort of relief, I really do not care about the race, the nationality, the gender, or religious orientation of the person that comes to help me. Whether it's you're ill and I need to get to a hospital, or something happened and it's a police officer or a good Samaritan. Therefore, why be a hypocrite in other aspects of that? Is it not the same? I believe if we need something done in the regions within Africa, the best ambassadors and the best authorities to help you within that region are the people of the region. The Federation agenda is an agenda of a foundation of peace built on pillars of unity with all people, with all nations, of all genders, whatever it may be. And I will not compromise on that, because I will be a hypocrite to myself and my own principles as a person. We need, as a nation, not per se support in terms of monetary at all times, but a massive dose of commitment and perseverance to reach step by step the goals we see. It also means at times you've got to make yourself small, at times you've got to make yourself big, at times you've got to acclimatize in accordance to the situation in order to fulfill the set mission and the set goal. And you have to look at the greater picture. For whom are we doing it? Yes, the project and the agenda is for Africa, but Africa is not an island in the sea of humanity. There's relationships with Africa and outside of Africa. We need goods, we need service, we need trade, we need the market and the infrastructure that must be better and better coordinated, better customized, and more progressive. This is the needs within the regions equally of the kingdoms. The kingdoms that are happy to be in the capital regions have a bit more, but they're suffering. The kingdoms and the chiefdoms and the tribes with the royal heads in the rural regions also need this infrastructure, not only in terms of the basic national ones that is there, but also internally, which falls under the responsibility of the chiefs and the people. There is no region in Africa that does not have resources to help itself. And the greatest resource is the African people. The purpose we do it is for the African people. Who are the African people? Lots of names have been changed and lots of names have been given. They say we're Africans, but before that name was given, there was other names, and there was other names, and we can go all the way back down to the journey of existence, and we will have one root start. So I wish to remove the phrase, we're doing it for the African people, in terms of the understanding and interpretation of it of this time, and say we're doing this for the people born of the cradle of Mother Africa that has a responsibility to Mother Africa, because if you destroy the root, you destroy the tree, and that tree is called the tree of humanity. If we have to address an agenda, we have to address an agenda that covers all of the people and not a part of the people. So do not tell a child in 20 years' time, maybe by then we'll be there to give you water. The Task Force 2 responsibilities: construction, management, and taking care of the general procedures that is needed for the realization and execution of the project. Task Force 3 is a part of our internal international research and foreign policy institute that sees to it that within our agenda that we also integrate the global requirements and standards that is necessary, and I stand behind, for human rights. In some of the areas we will have situation where you have a lot of human rights abuse, and it does not mean that you go away from those people. Also in those areas that must be done, and as well see that that part of it is also addressed as a part of the project, because the one without the other would not stand. It has to be there. Task Force 1 is the most important, because Task Force 1 has to support Task Force 2 and Task Force 3, and as well support the general mission and the general events that has to be done, which means in order to respect the people that will be represented, we need to understand them. We need to understand the culture. We need to see them as co-equal humans. And regardless, if there is no glitter and glamour and gorgeous palaces and that all, they have something. We all have something. A far greater common shared importance with all of humanity that must be safeguarded as an integral part of this agenda. It is our collective future. Nothing glamorous, nothing big. Our future. The world is spiraling down at the speed of light. This agenda is not only going to help Africa, where we are going into each of their region and applying the protocols of the plan. And if you need to know more of the agenda, we will discuss it after, but it's just a short welcome for the task force and just giving a bit of global information on that. But it's very important, before you take the step to say we are going to start on this training, that you understand it's not just a hobby or something I will do for a few hours. We are not saying you need to commit your whole day to it, but the part of your day that you commit to it, you need to commit 100%. The stability of the world in all aspects will always lay at its root. Mother Africa is the mother for one, the grandmother of one, and the great-grandmother of the third, that together form humanity. We have not been taking care of Grandmama's house, nor her children. Project 7 Phoenix is meant as an agenda where people of all nations, of all culture, can participate, and that it be duplicated within those regions. With that, with 55 nations simultaneous agenda, the amount of goods and service that is needed, construction support from inside of Africa and outside, it means we can, if we really want to make a difference, also not affecting change only in Africa, but also outside in terms of giving employment to many because of the needs that will be there and for decades getting it done. The beauty is it's being done in all 55 country traditional regions, rural regions into the cities, and not just in one or two or three or the privilege or of this political group or that political group or whatever. It must be for all. So I need, before anyone starts further and go deeper and deeper into this, please follow well the training. But before you do, be sure of your own commitment to this agenda, commitment to Africa, understanding of Africa, respecting Africa, because it is at each and every root, be you ebony or chocolate or mocha or vanilla or strawberries or and all the beautiful shades in between. God bless you. You are all a part of Africa. And I like that because it just reminds us that humanity is one. And if I was to go upstairs in one of those shuttles and look down, I don't think it would really, really matter if we were all to stand on the street, be you a president or be you a queen, or I hate the word commoners, so I rather say just a brother and a sister of humanity standing there, servants or policemen, garbage man, doctors, whoever you may be, those seen good, those seen bad, we're all one and the same height, and our future one and the same collective consequence. Thank you for your attention. I hope it was understood. I would be back again to try and give more highlights. This was actually a sound test. So if it is good, they may allow it out, but I do wish you all a very, very beautiful day. May I say one in light, and I will see all of you in the art community shortly. Thank you so much. Bye.